Welcome to Quantum Quest Conversations. I'm your host, Megan.
And I'm your host, Heidi.
The podcast where curious conversations lead the way into awakening, growth, and infinite discovery. Whether you're just beginning your quest or deep in your awakening, you'll find inspiration through stories, lessons, and personal experience. Settle in, open your heart, and let curiosity lead the way.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to our podcast for today. And hello, Megan.
Hello.
It's really great to be able to talk to you about these topics all the time. Every time I learn something and get so excited. And so for today, we have, is the universe testing us or is it guiding you? There's sometimes that we think that, things start happening, one thing after the other, and we don't know why they're happening to us. And then we ask, are we being tested? Am I being tested? And there's other times when you start learning that it's not a test. We start thinking, oh, I'm being guided, And so I wanted to ask you, Megan, can you think of a time where you thought you were being tested?
Yeah, I feel like I'm being tested every single day. I feel like I'm very self-aware, so I do probably not like most people, or maybe I don't know, but I do find myself questioning how could I have done this situation better? Is this a lesson I'm supposed to be learning? Um, I I think I used to have that mentality of like it was always the other person's fault, but I really feel like my mindset has changed recently where I sometimes I feel like it's too self-aware. I'm like, how could I have done that better? What did I do? What could I have done differently in a situation? So I do feel like I'm always being tested in that way. But I think it's good to talk about first just what's testing versus like guidance. And to me, guidance is like a very calm, like subtle, it's almost like sometimes it could just be a thought that pops in my head. Or there's times that like I almost like robotically will pick up my phone and maybe just text someone or who maybe in the past I've been nervous to reach out to, but it was almost just like this outside like kind of nudge and like almost like a guiding hand to be like you should text this person, you should reach out to them. um Actually, I do have a funny story of when I was guided. Guy that I used to date a while back, he passed away. And after he passed away, he came to me in spirit, and he definitely guided me and told me to go get flowers for his wife and to like make a meal for her. And it was like I do know his wife, and I haven't talked to her, in years. Like I don't even know. But anyways, like from high school. So, you know, 10, 20 years, I don't know. But anywho, I was being guided to reach out, take these flowers to her. And it was, I looked back at it and I was thinking, oh my gosh, I cannot believe I was like bold enough to reach out to this person like the day that her husband dies and says, and who am I? She like, I used to date him. Like, I'm the last person she wants to see. And I bring these flowers and this meal and I drop it to her porch. And she sent me a message and was like, oh my gosh, these flowers are exactly what he would have picked out for me.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that was guided.
So like there's situations like that are definitely I feel like I'm guided. I there's been a lot of different situations, but testing is different. Like it's a different feeling. It's not that soft, calm, gentle nudge. Testing is more, it's like friction. It is like the same repeated annoyance, just like you're just like, oh my gosh, are we arguing about this again? Or oh, this is happening to me again. Oh, why does this always happen? Like when you start almost sounding like a victim and the same thing is just happening over and over and over.
Yeah,
To me,
annoyance.
yeah, that's being tested. So, do you have any stories about being tested or being guided?
Ah, I don't have a very good one like you do, but I can say that I definitely started feeling tested not so much when my children were little, because I had a lot of patience. I have a lot of patience towards children. Once they became teenagers, well, I was being tested every day, constantly, for different reasons, but that was strenuous. And then sometimes, I'm not gonna lie, I feel tested with my relationship, or with my own self sometimes, when I say, for example, in alignment, I want to do something better, and before I know, something might happen that will trigger that sensation, and I am like, am I being tested? Because then I have to reframe and just redirect my behavior. But like you said, it sounds like it's something that has more friction. It's harder, and it's also annoying sometimes. So
Yeah.
it's hard. And when I feel guided, it's like you just said, it's so gentle and it's smooth. It's almost like they're carrying you in their wings, and it
Yeah.
feels so much easier. And yeah, like you said, like when I started getting into my mediumship classes, I felt guided. When we started doing this, I felt aligned. And so
Yeah.
it's like a very different compass, you
Hmm.
know. And so it comes, actually, you gotta pay more attention when you're being guided, because I feel like when you feel tested is because you've been guided and you just don't want to listen. And then it keeps coming and coming, and then you get like, am I being tested? But maybe you are, because you're not listening, you know?
Yeah. And I think those tests get more challenging as we don't listen. I mean, if the same things are happening to you and you feel like, oh my gosh, it's not getting better, it's like getting worse, that is a huge, huge sign that you need to look in the mirror, and more than likely, it's something that you need to change. It is so easy to point out what the other person is doing wrong, but in these cases where we're being, kind of tested, it's what can we do better? What can we do better in this situation? Um, and sometimes even the test, I think, could be that person is not aligned with you, and you might have, maybe your test is just to be like, you shouldn't be hanging out with this person because you're not in alignment. um and that's a really hard lesson too, to maybe have to like walk away, from a relationship. These tests aren't easy. I can think of I feel like I was being tested. I kept getting signs to slow down and to take time for myself. And it was those gentle nudges. And sometimes I do think, oh gosh, Spirit, can't you be a little bit harder on me? But then gotta watch what I say.
Yeah.
Um, but I was being like kind of guided, and signs kept coming and telling me to like slow down, take time for myself. Like I don't have to do everything. And I was like that. I wanted my hand in everything, manage everything in the house. Like it was overwhelming. And I remember like feeling like I just really should take time for myself. And I was skipping yoga, like some days of like going to yoga because I kept making excuses of like the family needs me. And I ran in to my bed, like the corner of my bed, and broke my toe.
Oh,
And it's really funny because it was honestly, it was right at a time where I was like supposed to be doing something for myself, and I ended up canceling that. And instantly like broke my toe. And it was like so silly. I mean, literally just walking in like into my bed. But to me, I'm like the lesson was, okay, if you're not gonna sit down and slow down and relax and take time for yourself, we're gonna make it where you can't physically, walk and move. And they don't do it to punish. I don't take that as like a bad thing or oh, spirit's mean or God's mean I don't think it's like that at all. I think I'm really doing it to myself. Like I should be taking time for myself. I should be relaxing. I should be listening to these signs. And instead I'm just rushing around, being chaotic and something like that happens.
Yeah, today, that's funny you brought that because today I was watching a video with the Heart Alchemist, and she was explaining about how sometimes exactly what you're saying, our body feels like numb or you don't want to move or but that's because our body is asking, or maybe there's too much tension around you, and your body just needs to calm down. And one of the things that the body uses is the freeze mechanism. And so you think that freeze is just not responding or not talking, but it's also the body asking to rest, the body just needing to shut down for a little bit in order to reorganize the energy. And so I was thinking about that because sometimes I don't listen and I think, oh well, I just feeling not feeling well, but I'm gonna keep pushing through, and I have to do chores and like whatever needs to get done. And then when I say, okay, now I'm gonna rest, it's worse. And instead of resting perhaps 2 hours, now I have to rest a whole day or
Yeah.
maybe two. And so, yeah, it's like we're being guided gently, but we don't listen. And then, something worse is gonna happen.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that the key is like we've been saying this a lot in our previous podcasts is listen, pay attention.
Yeah. Because, well, yeah, we'll say it again and again. We are being divinely guided, and we have so many, loved ones in spirit and God and angels and spirit guides and whatever. We have tribes around us that want to support us, that want to help us, that want to give us all these signs and synchronicities to show their love and to make our lives a little easier. But man, are we stubborn.
Yeah.
That isn't that the truth?
Yes. And
Um,
now that you were saying when my mom was gonna pass, well,
mhm,
I didn't know. I just thought she needed some support and help. And so when I was preparing my suitcase, I remember seeing which choosing my clothes, and instinctively I felt like that guidance just to put something black in my suitcase. When my mom was gonna pass, I didn't know that at the time. I just thought she needed help and, support. And so when I was preparing my suitcase, I thought I was choosing my clothes, and I thought like it was like a very subtle thought, but I could tell it wasn't mine to put something black in the suitcase. And I remember getting upset at me for even considering it. And I was like, I'm not gonna do it. But then the gentle nudge came again, and I'm like, fine, I'm gonna put it. And then again, put another one. And I start get annoyed, but I did it. And oh my
mhm.
goodness, I did not know that my mom was gonna pass so fast.
Oh,
And not to say that I was glad, because I would never say that I had that prepared, because I had no clothes at my parents' home.
mhm.
But in a way, I'm grateful that I listened,
Yeah.
'cause I wasn't gonna be the daughter and wearing something pink right in the middle. Because we didn't have time for anything. So, but yeah, I think the guidance comes from everything. Even sometimes when you're cooking, right? And you have the idea that maybe the stove is on and you haven't realized it, and
Mhm.
things like that. It comes for everything.
Yeah. Yeah, they say like on your way to your car and you forget your car keys and you have to like run back in the house, or you forget something else, and or you ran out of gas and now you had to stop and you're going to be late for somewhere, and it's like, we always think of it as like a nuisance to us and like, oh my gosh, but again, sometimes it's we're being guided, and we're, one, we could be being taught a lesson that, hey, you are so scatterbrained, like you need to be in the present moment, that's why you keep forgetting things, so it could be something like that. Or it could be you are so guided that they are trying to protect you from, getting in an accident if you would have left, a minute earlier, or anything like that. So yeah, start changing your mindset, to be more positive and realize that you are being guided, and or sometimes you're just getting a lesson thrown your way.
Yeah, so when I feel like I was like 7 or 8, and we were coming back from my cousin had a farm, a beautiful farm. But the road back home was it had like a lot of curves, and it was through the mountains. And I remember my brothers and I were asleep in the car, but I remember when my mom told my dad, "You need to slow it down and
Mm-hmm.
pay attention because there's a car coming." And my dad, because he was so used to listening to her and, doing pretty much because of experience, he knew how to listen to her, and he did it. And immediately, seconds later, there was a car speeding on the other way, and he was swiveling.
Wow.
Yeah, and my mom said that he was drunk or something, but yeah, all the time, like either to save us, like you said,
Yeah.
or just to make us calm down, take a breather, you know. And
Yeah.
it's amazing how those things work. But I'm sure like right now with you with the kiddos too, you have a lot of nudges because, it's like you have 4 kids, little ones.
Yeah.
So one might come sad from school, the other might be upset, or, you have to constantly be thinking about the the things that your kids might be going through.
Yeah, I feel like my parenting has changed so much just in the last year or so, because I have slowed down to accept the guidance. I know I'm not in this alone. I think sometimes when they say this takes a village, I think it's a spiritual village too. It's, me slowing down and really being present. I have been able to recognize that all my kids are so different. And I know a lot of people are, yeah, obviously, or we know that, but it's like, no, there's different ways to parent your kids. You cannot have the same style for every single one of your kids. So I am all ears and wanting to listen and feel those little nudges and guidance, um, when it comes to raising my kids. And it has made a huge, huge difference. Um, Actually, my daughter, that was guidance, and lessons thrown my way. My daughter, we decided to hold her back in first grade. And that was a hard decision. That was so hard as a parent, because you don't know, you know, am I doing the right thing? Is this gonna really benefit them, or, not? And I felt so guided and so comforted. And it was one of those moments where the decision was just it came at ease. It was just, even though the worries all kind of were coming and I was kind of going back and forth, at the final moment of when I feel like I was being guided, when I really, I guess, surrendered and just said, God, what should I do? Um, I felt that guidance of, that she should be held back. And it was the best decision that I ever made for her and her like school career. But yeah, slowing down, being present, and be able to ask like for guidance, but listening to that guidance too. Because I do feel like I was I feel like there was tests in there too. I was being tested also in different areas of people thinking like, why are you, holding back your daughter? Should you be doing that? Should you not? Like, I don't know. To me, I felt like that was a test of, can I stand up for myself and for my daughter and what I believe is right and not let other people's opinions matter to me. So that was, yeah, we always being guided and always lessons thrown our way.
I feel like almost like if the test is not given by the universe, but it's given by our own selves,
Hmm.
because the universe will guide you. But
Yeah.
because we don't hear, we're just challenging ourselves. And we're just, putting that extra effort we need to accomplish just because we don't listen. And we tend to blame it you know, to the universe. However you call it, God, you call it, you know, the sensation that you feel in your heart. But then you tend to have to blame someone for that extra lesson.
Yeah.
The reality is that the universe only has love for you, love,
Yeah.
grace, compassion, kindness, patience, infinite patience to you. And so, unfortunately, we're like that 3-year-old that we're told not to touch that because it's going to hurt. And we keep trying to do it until we get hurt. And then we learn, okay, so I shouldn't touch that, even though we were being told so many times. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, it's a thing to remember and not to be in victim mode, thinking that the universe has something against us or that it's proving something to us, because that's not at all how it is. It's like a gentle mother, loving, patient, um, looking after us. And so, yeah, I think that we should remain student more than we think of us as victims. It's just hurting us more to feel like that.
Right. I had recently read a book called The Big Leap by Gay Hendricks, and he talks a lot about really taking that big leap into what your genius is. But the only way to take that big leap and go into your genius is when you stop self sabotaging yourself and like being the victim. So it made me think that when you're sitting here talking about the victim, and you're right. That is not God. That is the one that's sitting here testing us, or I guess like making us feel like we're a victim. Like we're doing that to ourselves. So in this book, it's really interesting. Gay Hendricks gives like this example of this couple that their families like weren't really like, or they were thinking like their families weren't going to approve of them like getting engaged or something. But they like went ahead and got engaged like without like telling their families. And then they, after, I think this is how the story goes. Anyways, like it was something like after the engagement, on their way back, they stopped to go in the woods and got poison ivy. And
Mm.
they told themselves, oh my gosh, like we got this poison ivy because we didn't tell our families that we were going to get engaged, and now the universe is out to get us. And now we have this poison ivy. And he says in his book, like, no, like the universe isn't out to get you. Like you're not being like punished. Like, no. Like that's just something that you're telling yourself, and you're upper limiting yourself. Like you're sabotaging your life. Like this couple ended up like getting in a fight over it and kind of blaming each other. Well, it's your fault we didn't tell them, or it's your fault. It's just, I don't know, it's just silly. But I think we find ourselves doing that. So it was really interesting. I kid you not. It was like a day after I finished this book, I decided to treat myself, and I was going to spend the whole day by myself, which with how many kids I have, it just seems impossible. But I was felt like I was being so selfish, but I went to the park and it was gorgeous. I packed like a blanket and I brought my journal and I just like sat there and I journaled all day. I meditated. Like I was just praying. I was one with nature. I went on a walk. There was a really nice restaurant next door. And I was like, oh man, like I walked over there and treated myself to like a nice restaurant for lunch. And I really like enjoyed my day. And I mean, I stretched it out like all day. I just laid on this blanket. It was gorgeous. Anyways, I get poison ivy. And so I'm in the shower that night and I just see the dots like poking up on me. And I was just laughing at this point to myself of, okay, I could be the victim and be like, oh, you shouldn't have spent that whole day by yourself. Like, this is a sign from the universe that, you're putting yourself first and not your kids. And it's like, or I happen to just sit in a patch of poison ivy and I deserved to have that day. It was a beautiful day. I got so much work done. Like it was just, I was being so divinely guided the entire day. Like the synchronicities that just kept the flowing in. There was hawks over like above my head the whole time at the park. Like there was feathers when I started going on a walk. I was going down this one path and I got like this nudge, so a little guidance. I got like guided to like turn and go down a different path. All of a sudden this deer just like runs out like right in front of me. It was
Oh,
just beautiful. It was picture perfect. It was a beautiful day. And anyways, I take away from that of like, yeah, let's not self sabotage or upper limit ourselves and constantly think like, oh, that was a sign. That was a sign. I shouldn't do that. Because sometimes it's just our fear, stepping in there and we just make they're excuses, honestly, and they're not signs. So being able to recognize the difference between like actual guidance, and signs.
I don't know about you, but I think when I was young, I don't know if it was a generational or it was cultural or both. But I was told a lot when I was little, God's gonna punish you, and God is
Mhm.
gonna punish you. And then
Yeah,
you grow up thinking that God is this mean person sitting on a throne in the sky, just looking at you like a little ant that's doing things that you shouldn't do, and now you deserve to be punished.
yeah,
And that creates fear.
right.
And since you're told that so little, then you grow up in feeling like that victim, in which like, oh my goodness, someone so much more powerful is gonna punish me because I don't know any better, you know. But the reality is when we stop seeing that and we
Mhm.
see, you know, the universe, spirit, creator, the architect, um as the loving, compassionate father or mother that he is, or motherly father, then you start seeing that there's no way he's punishing you. But like I used to tell my children all the time this example. Say you take something from the store and you're caught, and you say, I'm so sorry to the police officer with all your heart, or to the judge. And the judge is gonna say, I believe you repented, I understand it, but the consequence is not gonna disappear because you really feel it in your heart, you know? So you have to learn how to really listen and do what's right, and stop blaming others for what's happening to you, you know? And not thinking, like really thinking and paying attention, because they say that we don't come with a book, and it's true, but we do come with guidance. We do come with that voice, that inner voice. It's been known because even in the cartoons that I used to watch, well, you're younger than I am, But the cartoons I used to watch with, the little devil and the little angel.
Hmm.
And well, that's exactly right. We all come with the gentle voice. And then for me, the little devil, it's our ego, you
Yeah,
know. But we come with guidance, and all we need to do is just be open, be willing, and be accepting of that help that does come with us.
right.
You agree?
Yeah. Something else I was just thinking about when you're talking about like we don't have a plan, or we mentioned this in our last podcast about like soul contracts. We just briefly touched on it. But that comes into play too with all of this. Like the people that are in our lives, like a lot of them are in our lives because we have a soul contract with them, and we're contracted to like learn lessons from each other. And I think that also comes into play. And I think it also, a lot of the examples that we talk about is, our kids or our family or maybe our husbands, or, it's these close relationships that is triggering us like the most, that's where these lessons are coming from, is it's with the people that we love the most and have these close relationships. And I don't think it's a coincidence that they are in our lives for a reason. And I think it's, taking that step back to be like, what is this lesson? Am I being tested by them? Or they talk about like the mirror, like reflecting back at you, like
Hmm.
a lot of times that, the things that the people like, all, my husband, he triggers me a lot. And but why am I being so triggered? What is it in me? You know, what is he bringing up from maybe my childhood or something that is repeatedly being triggered, that I need to take responsibility for, and that I need to handle that emotion?
Yeah, there's something I read that opened my eye, kind of what you're saying, my eyes. It says when you don't learn a lesson, the lesson will just keep repeating itself until you get it.
Yeah.
And that to me is, I just don't want to go through that, something that I don't like for God knows how long, and you just can't work on your side of the street, and hoping, that as your partner reflects you too, then he starts also changing in an alignment, start
Mhm.
getting aligned. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's true. We like, I mean, I'm sure there's couples out there that don't trigger each other. God bless them. But I have to say, I'm with you. I trigger my husband, he triggers me, and we trigger our children, they trigger us. It's
Exactly, exactly.
Yeah, and it's all about paying attention, like you
Oh,
said.
yeah.
So,
I know. I trigger a lot of people. I think I was placed on this earth to do that.
well, we hope that we are triggering you guys to, listen to the subtle nudges rather than going through, you know, the tests that you choose to go over and over and over. And we hope that if you have any stories of tests or, you know, guidance, that you can put it down there in the comment box and like, subscribe. That helps us a lot because we're just starting, but we're very hopeful that you're gonna like our conversations with Megan and Heidi.
And to add to what Heidi just said, if you have a topic that you would love for us to discuss, write it in the comments, reach out to us on our website or our social media, and let your voice be heard, because we would love to chat about it. So thank you for tuning in, and until next time.
See you next time. Bye bye. Thank you so much for being part of today's Quantum Quest. We hope this conversation awakens something new within you, a spark, a question, a remembering. Be sure to like, subscribe, and share. And until next time, keep exploring with an open mind and an open heart. Bye for now.